So I have a hilarious question, or at least
Okay.
I think it's funny, and it has really nothing to do with what we're going to talk about. Where did you get the Lego idea? Like, tell me about. Devin was just telling me how much he loved it, and more importantly, his daughters loved it. So give me the rundown.
I like Legos, so
That was it.
yeah. I mean, honestly, most of our merch and marketing ideas stem from me just being like, what would I want, right? And it's like, I don't want another beer koozie or whatever. So
No.
it's just like, I want a Lego dinosaur on my desk. So, and then we kind of backed into like, how do we actually make it relevant? And we ended up with the idea of like, we help you build and activate your network. So like, you have to build our merch, and we like,
Yeah.
but like, it just started from like, I want a Lego dino on my desk, and I assume other people will too.
Out of curiosity, how is it performed? Is it still kind of like early days? Because
Still
I know
running.
people love it.
Yeah, people love it, and it's like I know this is like blasphemy to say to B2B marketers. I don't really give a shit about measuring it, at least not in the way that I think
we
a
clip
lot
that?
of people
Yes, we're gonna
want.
clip that. Yes.
And I think it's just like, it's one of those things you kind of just like know if it's working. Like you brought it up here. That to me is like, it's clearly working, right?
Yes.
Because you wanted to ask me questions about it. And it's things like, you know, I get asked on podcasts because of our hoodies or the Lego thing, or people post about it or talk about it. So it's one of those things that like, at least at our size and stage, I'm like, I just know it's working. For reference, we made 100 of those sets. We've only sent out 20 of them so far. So I don't have a great answer on like the long term of it, but it's, it definitely feels like it's working. We've had people reach out and be like, if I buy your product, will you send me a Lego set? I'm like, let's make sure you're a good fit first. But like, yeah, we can have a conversation about that. I've had 2 people do that.
So before we jump into it, if I were to have my CEO watch this, which Evan, I hope you're watching this whenever it gets released, what advice would you give him, CEO to CEO, just about like marketing measurement and like this stuff that you can measure and can't measure?
I would just say carve out whatever you're comfortable with, whether it's 5%, 10%, 20% of your budget and your time for things that you know are not going to be measurable and they're just to have fun. I was just talking to someone earlier, and it's like, they're like, if you could snap your fingers and change one thing about B2B marketing, what would it be? And I'd be like actual fun, not like fun and like, haha, my company posts memes on LinkedIn. It's like,
no.
Okay, sure. That's one kind of fun, I guess, but it's just boring. It's so boring, man. It's like it makes me like I don't really get inspiration for marketing from other B2B companies, right? It's like you know, other consumer companies. My favorite is, you know, Mischief.
No, but tell me.
Oh my god. Okay, we'll get the next 20 minutes on this rabbit hole alone.
Yeah, let's do it.
How did I describe Mischief? I feel like you would know what Mischief is.
I've never heard.
Oh my god. Okay. I'm like,
tell us. Let's go. Yeah.
It's like I think they describe themselves as technically an art collective.
Okay.
But they're like and they started as doing like art stunts. Like they would do things like they sold 100 copies of a key that all were a key to the same car. And it came with an app where you could just like see where the car was. So if you had bought one of the keys, you could just go like,
that's awesome.
The car. They did other things where they're like, oh, if you send us your gun, we'll melt it down and turn it into a sword for you. Like they've done like weird stunts like that.
Yeah.
They did an ATM that was like, it took a picture of you when you accessed it. And then it would like have a high score of who had the most money in their account when they had used the ATM.
I kind of want to watch this now.
And then they started doing like, they did like a weird, I think they did like melted Crocs, and they got sued by the company behind Crocs or whatever. So like, they've turned like a sort of a product company. They've done like, they just do like weird stuff. They did a thing, it's still running. Like 3 years ago, they started a thing that was like, you had to log in and like answer a simple question that like anybody can answer every single day. And you had to pay $5 to enter. And I think it was like, whatever, 10,000 people entered. So like, $50,000 prize pool. And if you skipped a day, you're out. And it's been like 3 years, and there's like still 7 people doing it.
What?
And it's like whoever's the last person there wins the money. So they just do like weird things like that, and stuff like that is way more interesting to me than like, I don't know, just what B2B companies tend to do.
And quick rundown of Commsor, like what do you guys do? How big is the marketing team?
Marketing team is, it's a bit of a fuzzy. It's like, multiple hats. It's like 4 people.
Okay.
We're 12 total.
Yeah.
And we basically help companies like activate their network of investors, customers, advisors, partners. We're sort of like, I didn't say this, but customers keep saying it to me. So I'm like, oh, if customers keep saying this, maybe I should just start using that language.
Yeah.
They keep saying that we're like Crossbeam, but for people. So it's not what accounts do your partners know, it's what people do the people in your network know.
Yep.
And typically when we sell to someone, we sell them a warm intro check, right? Before you make the cold call, before you send the cold email, can an investor or a customer or an advisor open that door for you?
Gotcha, super helpful. So every company says that they're different. How do you prove that Commsor's like go-to-network approach is unique?
I think by trying to live it, it's, I think especially in B2B, there's so many companies that are like, do what I say, not what I do. Right? It's like you see the partnership company who has like they sell partner tech and they have a shitty partner team, or they sell community software and like, where's their community, right? Yep. Or it's like the people who sell you like cold outbound services and the email they send to you is the worst cold outbound you've ever got. So a lot of it is just like, we try to just like live it and breathe it. And I think we get a lot of folks that reach out who are like, we don't just want your product. We want to like know how you guys are doing things. Like, can you come help us design merch or an event activation or whatever? So I think a lot of it is just like,
I saw that. Is that yours?
Yeah, this says, so it's not just a hoodie. It's, I think it's also like, we try to go that extra mile, right? Like anybody could take a hoodie and slap a logo on it. That's par for the course in marketing. But this hoodie is made in Portugal, made ethically, sustainably, like
I mean, it was the first thing I noticed. It looks pretty sweet.
It's super high quality. It's like, I mean, if you look here, it's like our brand, right? It's like Dino by Commsor. Yeah. It's not like we took some hoodie and just like slapped our logo on it. This is actually an NFC tag. So if I take out my phone here,
I'm learning so much right now.
And I do this, it'll open. So Matcha is like our sister company.
Yeah.
Right there. It just opened my Matcha profile when I tap my phone to that, which is like opens my LinkedIn. It's like a little like a link tree.
My mind is blown right now.
So like, and you can actually, I can edit this to make it an invite code to our product. So it's like,
all right, we're going to talk after about this specifically because I want to do the same thing with my own spin on it. I'm not just going to straight up copy it.
It's fine. Yeah. Was it good artists copy, great artists steal?
Yeah. And marketing's all about borrowing and putting your own spin.
Yeah, I mean, like even the stuff we're doing, like people like love our hot intro thing. Like that's just hot ones.
Yeah.
For B2B, there's really nothing that creative about it. But like, it kind of goes back to the original question. It's just like, I just think a lot of marketers and like the advice, you know. I guess this is 2 questions ago. Like advice to marketers, CEOs, whatever, is like, don't be afraid just to try something. Even if it's not that unique, it's probably unique for your niche or your audience or things like that. And there's so many sources for ideas that are not other B2B companies.
Love it. Customer stories are really powerful. How do you use them to influence your buyers?
So many, I mean, like just like the obvious standard ways that everybody does, right? We've got the case studies, we've got the written stuff, we've got the quotes. We do a lot of like, we just like proactively offer pretty much every prospect we talk to like just talk to one of our customers directly. And usually it's just like it's an email. It's not like the 30-minute scheduled time. And we found that very often, like I'll offer that to a prospect and they'll be like, wait, you're willing to do that? I'm like, yeah. And they wouldn't even act on it. But it's just like the act of us being willing to offer it proactively. It's like almost worth more than the story itself in some ways. It's almost like we're so confident in our own product that like, yeah, just talk to a customer. I don't care. Like I'm not trying to hide behind anything.
I love that because I mean, so many customers or companies are hiding behind those things, and it's just such a surprise and shock to the people who are receiving that. And like, wait, you're willing to offer this? Like, this is amazing.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, it's a confidence thing, right? I think, and that's at the end of the day, especially nowadays, right? That's I just posted about this the other day, but there was a study, and I'm gonna forget what company did the study, but they interviewed like 14,000 B2B buyers, and were like, what are the most important factors? And it was like,
not this one.
No, sorry, different study. But it was like the most important thing on like making a buying decision was like, I feel safe signing a contract with these people. And it wasn't features, it wasn't price, it wasn't budget. I think a lot of it is like, can you make people feel safe that they're not making a bad decision here? I think that's especially true compared to like 3 years ago. That's just everything.
Yep, I hear you. So buyers love stories but need numbers. How do you balance the two?
We provide both. I guess there's no more complex answer to that. It's like and I would say we pivoted from something else, and our new business is so much easier to put numbers behind, and I'm so thankful for that. Our old business was kind of like here's sort of like the influence number, and you can kind of like
so run us through the old business and kind of how you would quantify it, and then what you're launching or have already launched.
So our old business, we were building community-led growth software. So we were like helping companies measure the impact of their community, which you can just like any marketer's like, oh yeah, good luck with that. Like and it's a pretty good sign when you look at like we had 5 competitors, not a single one of them exists anymore. They've all sold, shut down, or pivoted like us. So there was always a little bit of like companies had to have like our buyers had to have like a little bit of just like a raw belief that community was a good investment. The numbers would be helpful, but if they didn't have that raw belief, no number would convince them. With our new thing, it's like this warm intro referral software, we can be like, well, okay, well, you bought our product, you booked 12 new meetings last quarter because of these intros and referrals. Great, cool, ROI proven. It's very, very simple. It's very, very straightforward, and it's a lot easier.
Yeah, I can imagine. So how big is the sales team?
It's me and one other person. So we're still a foot in founder-led sales.
Okay. So then this might be an easier question to answer, but sales reps obviously need some ammo when they're talking with prospects. What types of evidence are you using in those conversations?
We pivoted and started selling our new product only really in February. So we're still like, we're just now coming out with our first like customer who's been a customer for 6 months. Here's a real case study, like real long-term value, not, just a few quotes and stuff like that. So we started sending those to customers. Once again, I just think the act of doing it proactively, whether it's connecting a customer, sending it, like don't wait for them to ask, just make sure it's there. We use one of those like digital sales room tools for follow-ups. And it's like, it's just always like right there, front and center. Like here's the, like of the 3 case studies we've got so far, here's the one that we think is most relevant to you based on your space, your industry. Here's an option to talk to one of our customers. So just putting it front and center. We have I'd say we have a small but mighty library of customer evidence right now.
I thought you were going to say small but mighty sales team.
Well, that too. I think a lot of people think our company's a lot bigger than it is.
Yeah. You said 12. I would have assumed, honestly, like maybe like 40, 50.
Yeah. We also, because we like raised a bunch of money and then pivoted. So we're a weird company. Everyone's like, what stage are you? I'm like, I don't really know how to answer that question anymore.
How are you getting CFOs to sign off on Commsor deals?
Honestly, we haven't run into that much. I know it's one of the, everyone's talking about like CFOs involved in every deal. Like, I don't know. And I guess it's sort of a sidebar answer to that question, but it's a good example that like, you have to sort of figure things out for yourself to a certain extent. Everyone's like, you could read the post on LinkedIn and be like, everyone needs CFO approval right now, but it's like, that may or may not be true for you. It's like, it shows up once in a while, but once again, we can like prove the ROI pretty quickly. As we're still early enough, we'll sometimes be like, hey, if you don't book at least one deal using our product in the next 3 months, like we're happy to like put an opt-out in there. And that usually gets a CFO who's on the hump, over the hump. But yeah, I think it's like, we've got a lot of our customers right now, like they're doing what we're selling manually already. So very often it's like, they're like, yeah, we already do this. We already know there's an ROI from taking this action. We just like, it's messy. It's sort of untrackable. It's not very efficient. So it's not like selling a net new thing. It's a bit easier, I think, to slot in.
So you said a lot of the companies that you're trying to sell into are doing this manually at the moment. Do you have competitors? You don't really have to name them, but are there like direct competitors that you have?
I would say when we were like, hey, here's what we're pivoting to 14 months ago, there were no competitors. Now there's at least 3. But that's, I think it's a good thing.
Oh,
right?
it's good for the space.
It's like, it's one of them has already pivoted out of the space. It's just like, it's fine. People come in, they go out very quickly. It's very interesting. I think all the people in the space that are in this, like in the space we're in, and people are still figuring out, is it a customer referral tool? Is it a network intelligence tool? Is it relationship intelligence? I don't know. Stick whatever label of the week on there. I don't give a shit, right? Everybody seems to be approaching it slightly differently, which I think is the most interesting thing to me. It's like we all have the same idea. The idea is that like your network has untapped value, but everybody has like a slightly different approach to how they're handling it. Obviously, I think our approach is the right one, but only time will tell.
So how are you capturing competitive intel? Or do you even care about it?
Once again, this might be the unpopular opinion.
Yeah.
We're at the stage where I don't care that much about it. Like I'm aware of it, and we obviously but it's like, because it's still like an early-ish space, competitors don't come up in deals that often. It's just kind of like, I just don't think the space is mature enough that people are like really like, I'm going to evaluate 3 or 4 vendors and really compare them head to head. So yeah, I think it's like, I'm also a fan of like when you're a smaller company, like I've seen way too many founders, myself in a past life as well, get too obsessed with what competitors are doing, and you end up like subconsciously, you're always a step behind the competitor instead of being like, I want to be the one where they're writing documents like, oh my God, what the fuck is Commsor doing?
I'm shaking my head in agreement, by the way.
It's, so I think it's like, we're aware of what they do, but I wouldn't say it's a thing that we have like a very active, like when it comes up, it comes up. We try and stay on top of it. But
So would you say it's more a matter of like the stage of the company and the maturity of the industry where like you start to maybe pay attention, but not obsess over
we just, I would say less than 10% of our deals are competitors even mentioned. So it's just not super critical for us to win business right now.
Got it. So you were actually featured in this report. I should know which page that you're on, but
I should know too, I guess.
You thumb through this, we'll figure out what page you're on.
Look from my face somewhere, right?
So
it's a great report, by the way.
I don't know when this is going to go live, but we just launched this yesterday. funny story about this, and I won't say this in every single clip, but we set a somewhat arbitrary launch goal, mostly because we didn't really know how to set a goal for this. It was the first time that we were doing it, of 100 downloads in the first week. And within 24 hours, I think we hit like 440. Not that anyone's counting. I think it's like 441.
442 exactly right now, actually.
I've just been like hitting the refresh button on the HubSpot report that we have. But it was kind of a crazy reaction for us just because we didn't know how it was going to land.
Did you gate it? I don't remember.
Just email address right now. Yeah. And then what I have is a triggered email from me right after. And it says, I promised my VP of sales that I was going to follow up with you. I just want feedback on the report. Yeah. You're not getting kicked over to an SDR.
Yep.
They're not going to hound you.
Yep.
If a marketer wants to book a demo, like they kind of know where the book a demo button is in the site.
Buyers aren't as dumb as sellers and marketers seem to think they are.
Yes. So yes, it's just gated right now, but we're really trying to grow our email list. We're focusing on, say, organic social, and then emails are 2 channels. I feel like a lot of companies are doing that, but the best companies will stand out.
Aren't we all?
Yeah. So outside of you being featured in it, what would you say is like the craziest thing that you found in the report?
Going through it, I don't know what page it's on, but now I want to find it because I want to quote the exact number. So maybe you know what page it's on. There was a stat about like a certain percent of buyer, like people are going back to like what I would call maybe like the older school, like Forrester, Gartner review, G2 badges. Because I am fully on the.
So this is who we surveyed B2B buyers, sellers, and marketers at more, I would say slightly more enterprise companies.
Yeah.
But the way that the question was worded, it was of all of these information sources, like where do you start your search? And it wasn't a single answer. It was just which sources do you use? That one did blow my mind.
Yeah, it was very interesting to me. It's like, because I feel like a lot of the buyers I talk to, this is once again where it's like, everybody's going to see a slightly different picture and have a slightly different experience. But it was like, at least for me, and once again, much smaller company than a lot of the folks that answer the survey. I don't give a shit about like your G2 badges. I don't care at all. It reminds me of like when I hire people, I don't give a fuck what your resume says.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care where you went to school. Like it's the same thing for me. And I feel like a lot of the buyers I've spoken to feel similar to that. But I think it might depend on maturity of industry. Like if you're picking a CRM, that's a big company making a big switch. Like you're like, I hate CRM X, we need a new one. There's just so much reporting out there and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think I was not surprised to see Peer Network that high up there. I was actually surprised that vendor websites were that high, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of people I talk to, it's not the other way around. But I think it's like you said, begin their search, right? I think was there a question here about like how much do you like weight the channel?
No, but you already gave me an idea for the next research report.
I can't remember what report it was, probably 6-7 months ago. They had a similar question, but it was like, how would you rank the impact of these channels on your buying decision? And peer networks and communities was the highest.
I love that.
Vendor websites was like the lowest by far. Yep. So it was like, I think it's like interesting, like where do you begin versus which one actually influences your decision?
So I'm not going to name names of who gave this quote, but if you read the report, you'll be able to see who gave the quote. So I'm already giving part of it away.
All right, narrowed it down.
Asked me to write a review for a tool that we use, a G2 review. And then I had him comment on the findings, just like you did, of the report. And he saw that G2 badges were ranked very, very low in terms of importance and just like reviews and how trustworthy people believe in them. And he gave me the quote, and he was like, maybe these aren't really as important as I think. Like, maybe I don't need you to write the review anymore. I was like, I'll still write you the review, but...
It's like nobody writes a review on G2 unless they've had a really good, or I mean, like, do you trust reviews on Amazon when you buy a product there anymore?
Never. I go for entertainment mostly.
Oh yeah, that's a whole separate rabbit hole. But it's like, I don't know. It's just think it's just one thing. I'm like, buyers are smart. They know shit. There's like access to information is everywhere.
Yep.
And of course, if a vendor gives you like, even if I proactively offer you a customer reference, I'm not going to connect you to a customer that I know is having a shitty experience, right? Like so. Duh, like obviously it's like I'm like I don't know. And then I've how like anti-review site am I allowed to be?
You can,
I think a lot of
anti anything.
I think a lot of
the safe space.
I think a lot of the review sites they're like the mafia of B2B. It's a racket. They're like I get emails from all of them. G2, Forrester, Gartner, Source something. What's the other one? Like a G2 competitor. SourceForge, I think it's called. Something.
Yeah, I feel like I've heard of it.
Whatever. They're always like, our traffic is better. I'm like, I don't care. Like, whatever. But their emails are like, they feel like, when someone's like, if you don't, it'd be a real shame if something were to happen to your pizza shop. Like, it'd be a real shame if it were to burn down. Like, it's like, hey, if you don't pay us, it'd be a real shame if one of your competitors paid us to show up on your page. You're like, at least for me, like, even if it worked, and this is like, once again, I think a lot of folks might disagree with me on this. Mm-hmm. I don't really care if a channel works if it doesn't feel right, or it feels like I'm not going to do it. Mm-hmm. Like, I just don't want to build a business that way.
Yep. I think for me, my biggest issue with a lot of those review sites is I never really agree with the category and the taxonomy and which tools they list in there. And it's like, I know what kind of tool I'm looking for. None of these other tools are at all.
Yeah, you look at like, show me similar tools to this, and you're like, what the fuck? What are these options?
There's like B2C options in there, and I'm like, I've never even heard of this. So how is this credible? But that's just me.
It reminds me of we're a data product at the end of the day, and it's like one of the things we talk about internally in our mantra is like, if a customer notices one data point that's wrong, even if that's the only data point that's wrong, they won't trust the rest of it, right? So it's like you go look at one category and you're like, well, my first option was wrong. I don't trust the rest of this now, even if that was the only thing that was wrong.
Yeah, I love it. This was great. We could keep talking forever, but I think we got to cut it short.
I think I owe you a Lego Dino now, don't I?
Yes, you do. Dude, this was awesome. Perfect.